window.
One out of 5 young people ages 10 to 17 in Virginia is obese or overweight. That's according to the results of the first Virginia Childhood Obesity Survey. The survey results were delivered at the Weight of the State Conference today in Richmond. The survey questioned 2,500 Virginians between the ages of 10 to 17. Other findings: 92% of youth surveyed eat snacks such as chips and candy or drink soda at least once a week, and 21% of kids consume it 7 days a week. Joining us now to discuss preventing childhood obesity is George Reed, fitness manager for the RMH Wellness Center, which has a Kid Fit program. George, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, George, what are your thoughts on the causes of childhood obesity?
I think some of the biggest causes would be physical inactivity, both inside and outside of the school, as well as just poor parental leadership.
The survey says on an average school day, speaking of inactivity, almost half of young Virginians watch 2 or more hours of TV, and 33% play 2 or more hours of video games. Are TV and video games the problem?
I think you could say that they are, but I think the bigger question to really solve the problem would be to ask, why are people allowed to watch that much TV? Are the TV and video games being used as kind of a babysitter because the parents are busy working? Is the neighborhood that the kids live in not safe for the kids to go out and play? Do they not have the opportunity to be involved in sports? Maybe both parents work. I think if you ask that question, you're going to have more answers to how to fix the problem than just blaming the video games themselves.
Mm-hmm. How important do you feel is parental leadership?
Like I mentioned, it was one of the big factors. I think parental leadership is the key. I mean, children do what their parents do. They eat what their parents eat, so they're going to model after their parents' behavior. And I see that a lot working at the Wellness Center. The parents who come in and are very active and their kids are raised in that kind of environment, they begin being active at a very young age. And I've seen the opposite, too, with some of the childhood obesity programs. It's a struggle because you're working with not only getting the kid into the Wellness Center, also the parents. So it's a much more of a harder battle to win and to fight.
Well, fitness is only, or activity is only part of this equation. How much of it is the input problem? Too many calories?
I do think children are eating a lot more than they should be. But if you look at young athletes who they tend to eat pretty much whatever they want, and they don't tend to gain the weight as fast as somebody who's inactive at all. So I think you do have to deal with both problems, but I think activity is a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm. What suggestions would you have for parents? As you mentioned, if you're two working parent family, sometimes you can't be after school directing them into the playground or taking them to the playground.
Yeah, I would, obviously I think being that example, if you want to talk about nutrition, they're only going to eat what you provide in the home, so only buying things that are healthy, making some healthier choices, more fruits, more vegetables, limiting the amount of soda, sugary drinks, and just starting small with incorporating physical activity into your life and allowing the children to participate. It's summertime, it's the perfect time to start that. A simple walk after dinner to increase physical activity is something great that every family could do. And I think the children will really, really enjoy that with their parents.
How important is that? I mean, some people might think, well, a walk's not going to do much.
Yeah, any bit of physical activity is better than nothing. In fact, many of the research that I've seen, you see the most benefits from physical activity from just beginning the actual process, starting it. That's where you see the largest increase in benefits in terms of your health, from just beginning that exercise program, going from 0 to 1 mile an hour, just beginning that, you'll start to see a lot of results.
And as you say, it doesn't have to be coming to the Wellness Center. Not everybody can afford a club membership, but there's playgrounds, there's things that you can do in and around the house that don't cost anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Walking, there's some nice parks, just being active and thinking outside of the box and varying the amount of activities you do. Kids, they get bored with activities, so you can just do a lot of things that are just, think about incorporating movements and limit the amount of time you allow your children to spend watching video games and watching TV.
Good for yourself and for your kids. George
Absolutely.
Reed, fitness manager for the RMH Wellness Center. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And now let's send it to Mel.